Cool.
Are you live yet?
We're live now. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's cut the music. Do you guys hear the music? Anyway. Welcome to this week in Sci-Fi on Ice. Well, this Tuesday, and today we're reading a book called Burning Chrome, as recommended by Dean, by William Gibson. If you got the, I can hear some
You could hear yourself.
echo coming through. But all right, so this book's about two guys working in the settings in a cyberpunk world of and they're out for a big score and for about yeah like as infiltrating a software to get the cash and then be off on their merry way. And yeah, how did you guys like this book? This story, sorry, not book, story.
Great short story.
Yeah, that's what we do every week. Short story. Do you like it, Dean? Is your oh yeah, sorry, Corey.
Yeah, I am a fan of William Gibson. I read the Scroll trilogy, and I think I read this after Wids as part of a collection, his collection, Burning Chrome, and yeah, it's just like that world. I love it. It's lots of good things. Dean?
I really enjoyed it. I thought he was quite good at world building. He was super descriptive of the setting and the surrounds and what was happening, and that I can almost, like the picture I have of it in my head, I don't want to see the movie of it or anything like that, because I like the picture that I made in my head of what it looks like.
I've ruined that for you.
No, it's good. It's good. In my head, I had a lot more neon.
Oh, dude, I don't have enough time, but yeah, more neon. More neon. That's yeah. All right, sorry for cutting you off.
There's Cyberpunk, so
Yeah, go on.
the game.
Yeah, I've got him like in a little the gentleman loser bar. I've got him like in a little diner basically, but you know.
And a wonky sign.
Well, I don't know. I think. I mean, I don't recall.
Is that Ricky walking out the front?
Nah, Ricky's blonde. She's a blondie, but uh, man, I got some sound in my place. Yeah, nah, it's all just that I drew a sketch of it. Yeah, I showed Dean a sketch of it the other day. It was just, you know, but like okay. So speaking to the world building, so I read this twice, and like the first time I read it, I couldn't, there was a jumpiness in two parts. The jumpiness between the time, like which stage of the story is it, and then there was also jumpiness between whether they were in the software or they were in the material world. So that the lines obviously blur there, right? And so that was in regards to the world building. And when they're in the software or talking about the programming, use a lot of sort of emotive, not emotive, so the descriptions are very sort of yeah, sort of like we would describe the material world, sort of, like obviously ICE, which is, I forget the acronym of it, like intrusive counter something something, basically to stop them, right? It's like an antivirus, basically, right? But he describes it like these ice walls. You kind of get that imagery in like the fortress within this software. So that was, I quite like that. Yeah, it was, because like ones and zeros is kind of boring on the face of it, right? So it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the Neuromancer a long time ago, and I was not even aware that it was part of a trilogy. But
Right.
as a standalone book, I thought that was one of the best books I've ever read, and it was. And I read it after The Matrix, and you just think, wow, how much did they rip off this
Yeah.
book? And that. Okay, so if I'm going to compare it to the book we did last week, Second Variety, rather than we were talking about kind of abstract themes, this one is really science fiction, looking into the future. This was written in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Before the internet, and just we're still not quite there yet. What he's depicting, but it's a really realistic view of the future, and we are, I think, quite close. Especially, I think this story and the world that he creates in the other books really has a huge social commentary component, rather than these more kind of macro themes like we were talking about, sentient robots and things like this. But here, especially with the whole vacuous culture of the bionic eyes.
Yeah.
So if you keep reading the other books, this is a huge thing where people are just living vicariously through these things called SimStim, I think they're called. And we're already seeing that playing out today with social media, and your people sit and they just want to live vicariously, look through the eyes of the beautiful people. And I think this has always been part of life to an extent, but when you can basically put a camera in your head and people can become you, this is where we're heading. Google glasses or whatever. But
well, yes, there's a lot of literature, and even in the last 20 years, there's a lot of movies that have done that sort of the what is it? The simulating like a second life, basically. The life that you want to live, and you can live for it at the price of a penny or whatever. I'm trying to think, what was that Bruce Willis movie where they just live? They live connected to basically like a virtual reality headset, but they're this perfect version of themselves. Man, we've got some nice. Pouring yourself a drink, or you're flushing the toilet.
That was just a really big cup of whiskey.
But
if you think of like alternate reality and stuff like that, like especially in the recent years, like Ready Player One comes to mind, and there was another one as well where you logged in and what you thought was a simulation was actually prisoners playing the fighting game for you.
right.
Who acted in it? Gerard Butler and.
Well, just talk about the movie. Don't worry about the actors.
Yeah, but
you that game.
Yeah,
I know the one.
They all end up, trying to expose this some kind of corporate overlord that is controlling society with what you see and what you hear. And
Alright.
Sure.
Well, okay. Well, let's get to like the heart of this story, because there's sort of, like it's like they want they describe okay, so the two guys, one's Bob and one's Jack, right? Bob is like what, the nerdy computer guy, and Jack's like the fix-it. Like he's got the bionic arm as well, right? And he's sort of the muscle and can fix things, duo combo. But what I'm getting at is like they're like, how old are they? Like 28. Well, Bob, at least we know Bob's 28, and they describe themselves or him as a cowboy with like programming. And they also describe him at the end of his game, like like a professional footballer. Like 28, you're probably at your peak or on the way out. And so like they were saying like trying to get their last score, and this is kind of what the story, like the center of the story, right? Like trying, he's a doesn't like responsibility. He doesn't really care for cash that much, right? And so it's sort of like, well, what is it? uh Jack concludes that it's because we sort of get the perspective of Jack, right? So we get Jack's kind of say, oh, like woman is a thing that he wants, but
Yeah.
he keeps going to the loser gentleman bar or
It's a
gentleman
good
loser.
old-fashioned heist story,
Yeah.
basically, and within this not so distant future, I think it's pretty easy to
But where's the
look
motivation
like.
though? Because like he doesn't really care for cash, but he's going for a heist. So I'm kind of, you know what I mean? Because
Well, I mean, they're still not, altar boys. They're still criminals, and well,
Yeah,
criminals need to make money.
I think Ego and this kid is
yeah,
like, as they allude to, a lot of these cowboys are not. They're sort of the superstars of the street, or online they are these rebels. It's kind of cyberpunk. They are the ones uh, breaking into, fucking with the big corporations, and
mm,
uh, they're living in the underworld basically, and they keep score,
yeah,
and really don't have huge motivation. You feel like Jack is going along for the ride in a little bit, but Bob is more. He needs to do it to feel alive, and the money probably doesn't matter so much to him either. He's doing it more for the fame, and the that's why he's right back down the gentleman loser once he's walked out of there alive,
yeah,
looking for the next girl and the next score, and he probably gets a major inherent thrill out of it.
All right, let's on
Thrill
that.
of the chase.
Let's talk about the structure of the story, because like at the beginning and like the first time, like my first read through it, didn't realize that there was a few keywords that kind of says actually, this is the end of the story that you're sort of reading at the beginning, because he says, we were about to become, was it like we were partners basically, or and so it sort of starts at the end, and then you sort of notice the jumping around this, there's some obvious times when they talk about the hang gliding incident where his arm gets burnt off.
Jack is a
Yeah, and but there's also sort of like a theme of time, because 28. Also, the whole story happens in quite a short time, even though they mention things a long time ago. But from the beginning of the basically the story is like starts from the beginning when they start the hack to the end where he buys the ticket that